I like to make people laugh and I like to make people smile.
Recordings of stage shows on old VHS tapes and stacks of DVDs are truly Chris McPherson's home movies.
It's in my blood. I grew up on that stage. My mom and dad, Pat and Don McPherson, started the theater in 1977.
The mountain town of Gatlinburg, Tennessee could represent many towns in America. A little somewhere of nostalgia and sweets and shows. In the middle of the bustle, you find a bit of old vaudeville in Chris's sweet Fanny Adams Theater.
We're one of the longest running businesses in town.
For the nation's performers like Chris, the stage is family, the cast is family, the people who come to shows are family. And that's why this is so hard.
Pretty rough, for me especially.
During COVID, Chris says safety guidelines meant they could only fill about 30 of their 169 seats. He applied for grants that did keep his cast paid, but he says it wasn't enough.
We just came up with that realization that we're not going to make enough this year to open up the following season.
Chris's struggle is the same as what so many live theaters faced in the pandemic all across the country. In San Antonio, Texas, the Sheldon Wexler Theater suspended their shows indefinitely after 22 years. In Elmsford, New York, the Westchester Broadway Theater closed after 46 years. Chaffin's Barn in Nashville, Tennessee permanently closed during COVID. The dinner theater had been going since the 1960s.
So many other performers out there weren't allowed to perform during this time, and that's their livelihood as well.
To help with reopening live theater, the Actors Equity Association tells us they're asking for $9 billion for the National Endowment for the Arts. And with vaccinations and capacity limits being lifted, there is some good news out there. In Chicago, the Mercury Theater announced their forever closure last year, only to reverse the announcement now and say they are coming back. But Chris says that won't be the story of Sweet Fanny Adams.
We've leased it out to another company. It's no longer going to be a theater.
Though Chris says parts of his theater live on.
A few things I just couldn't bear to get rid of. So I've turned my loft into the lobby. We have our vintage couch. This is one of our original brochures from 1977.
Lights are out at Sweet Fanny Adams on a night that would usually have a show. Chris says he'll one day return to performing in neighboring Pigeon Forge, a place of so many stages. But for now, from his theater, Chris shares one last home movie.
This is the final video that I'll be doing from Sweet Fanny Adams Theater. Remember the good times? Sweet Fanny Adams Theater will live on in my heart, will live on in your hearts. This is Chris McPherson signing off from Sweet Fanny Adams Theater.
In Gatlinburg, Tennessee, I'm Forrest Sanders.